Was this my worst reading month? I was a slacker in the month of September. I did read some good books, I just didn't read a whole lot of them. But I do have some wins that I want to talk to you guys about. Quickly, let's run through my stats on how I did in the month of September. I managed to read 9 books. Of those 9, we're only going to talk in depth about 6 of them today because 3 of them are actually books that I have read for vlogs for October that you guys haven't seen yet. So I want to save a little bit of the mystery on my thoughts on those books, but you'll have an inkling of what to look forward to. I read a total of 4,260 pages, which is definitely the worst that I've done all year, but that's okay. Sometimes you just need a reset and need a break. I listened to about 37 hours of audiobooks. My average rating was a 3.6, which for me is pretty solid. I DNF'd 1 book. I started 6 series and I managed to finish 1 series. So did pretty good as far as all of that goes. I read mostly romantasy with a few horror thrown in there to kick off spooky season. So let's get into what I read in the month of September. The first book that I finished was Throne of Shadows by Tassandra Odette. This is a young adult romantasy following a girl that has done something in her kingdom. You don't really know what happened at the beginning of the story, but she is on the run and lives with the people of the woods. There, she's just trying to make a name for herself when one day they get into a bit of a trouble and come up on a group that is hunting and keeping unicorns in cages, and she vows that she is going to help them try to escape. In order to do this, she needs the help of a stranger who she might just start to find attractive. This was just an okay read for me. I definitely felt like it was kind of slow. It just didn't grip me in the way that I wanted it to. The banter just wasn't quite top-notch, and you really didn't meet the two of them together until like halfway through the story. Other than that, we definitely fell into the typical tropes of on the run, hidden air, but we did have unicorns, which is definitely a different take, something that I don't see as much in romantasy. I think this has its place and I did like the ending, but unfortunately I just think that it was kind of mid for me. It wasn't something that I loved, it wasn't something that I hated. Will I continue on in the series? I don't know. Then we have Curse of Saints by Kate Dramas. This one I did enjoy. It started off a little bit slow for me, but as we continued on, I found myself really enjoying the banter in the story. This one's following Aya, and she knows that she has a lot of power, but she doesn't really want anything to do with it. She doesn't trust it, and she is the queen's elite spy. One day, she is named the god's chosen, the savior of the realm, a saint reincarnated, and she gets whisked away to kind of hone that power and figure out what exactly that's going to mean. I liked that part of the story about a saint reincarnated, even though she is absolutely not what you would consider to be a saint. Her banter between Will was really good. I liked him a lot. It's definitely a hate to love slow burn story. This first one is a romantasy, but in a subtlest of subtle sense. It definitely is going to lean, I think, more into the romantasy side as we continue on. But this first book reads more like a young adult fantasy, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Next up, we have Worthy of Fate by A.N. Caudle. This is one that I have been seeing flying around everywhere. It is a new romantasy involving fated mates, where you know from the get-go that these are fated mates. You know the story is about fated mates. It's set in a world where you can have a mark, and the mark means that you have been chosen by the gods. Every 100 years, there is a new competition to decide who is going to be considered a worthy and get all of the power from the gods. Basically, everyone used to have all of this power, but it was too much, and so they stripped it away, and only one person per each god is allowed to have all of this power in all of the different realms. Our female main character is one of the chosen, one of the ones that is going to be competing to be a worthy, and our male main character is already a worthy. I liked the beginning of this a lot. I thought that she was really spunky. I liked her personality. I liked the Hunger Games trial aspect to this. I thought that that was really, really cool. I liked the friendships in this. My biggest complaint actually came with the relationship. We went 0 to in love and married in 2 seconds. They had barely even seen each other. I didn't really like being in his head. He felt like he, I don't know, not objectified is not a good word, because sometimes you just want to be told you're hot. It definitely just felt a little over the top, a little bit too quick for me, and I did not love that part of the story. Their relationship was too mushy-gushy, not enough banter, and it didn't progress into the mushy-gushy. Sometimes if I like start off with the characters and we grow and we see their relationship grow and progress into something beautiful, I can be on board with the mushy, but in their case it was just like wham bam thank you ma'am, and I wasn't really for it. They just didn't really seem to have a lot of chemistry together, and so I ended up giving this one a 3-star. It was fine. Will I continue? It's kind of like Throne of Shadows. list? I don't know, but I was actually really disappointed because it was high up on my list of books I thought I was going to love, and even high up on books that I thought that I was really gonna like after reading the first half of the story. Then we have The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought that I would like this, but I didn't really expect to really like this. I anticipated like a 3-star, a low 4-star, but I had a lot of fun with this. I hate to compare it to Percy Jackson. A lot of people are going to, because it really doesn't have anything other than kind of the Greek gods vibes kind of thing to a Percy Jackson, and then it has a little bit of like Hunger Games Trials aspect to it, but mash those things together and you have a really fun story. Our female main character is cursed because her mother accidentally gave birth in Zeus's temple, made him really mad, and so he cursed the baby to never be loved, which kind of cruel, Zeus. It's not like she chose where she was born, but she cannot be loved. Sometimes she can be appreciated, people can like her, but no one ever really loves her, no one ever feels any strong attachment to her. One day she gets really mad and she decides that she's going to desecrate the temple when she comes upon Hades. They chat, they go their separate ways, she doesn't think anything of it. But then the choosing for the crucible starts. All of the gods choose their champions, but Hades, who has never participated before, decides that he wants to participate this year, and he chooses her as his champion. The crucible is basically a competition to decide who the next king of the gods or queen of the gods is going to be. This book is high action, super fast paced. If you're not somebody that likes a really fast paced story and you want a more slow character driven story, don't know that this will work for you. But if you want something fun and upbeat and easy to fly through, this is absolutely it. There are stakes to this story. Not everything is happy joy, but I feel like the tone overall is just a lot of fun. The trials are extremely well written. I think she did a great job walking you through each of those, making them all feel very different and helping you slowly start to learn the side characters. I think that was my biggest issue, and the reason that this did not get a 5-star, I did give this a 4-star, is just that the side characters and kind of the character relationships did not feel quite as fleshed out as they could have been, although it definitely got better as the book went on. I did like her relationship with Hades. I thought they had some really good moments, some really good banter. I wish that we had seen a little bit more of them, because we kind of went small scene with Hades, trial, small scene with Hades, trial, until we got toward the end, and I think that that could have been paced just a little bit better, where we got to see their progression a little stronger in the beginning and then progressing through to the end. But I did really enjoy this, and I absolutely will be continuing. I'm excited for book 2 because this does end on a cliffhanger. Then I read Till Death by Miranda Lynn. This is one that I thought was going to be a 5-star when I first started it, and there are definitely moments in this book that I really enjoyed. It's following the Maiden of Death, and in this world there's a Maiden of Life that's born every generation and a Maiden of Death that's born every generation. All of the gods forsook this land, and Death essentially said, okay, well, I'm going to get rid of diseases. Everyone is going to live to 100 years. You can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get 100 years. However, the Death Maiden had the ability to kill people, and she's basically his reaper. He will give her a name and she has to go kill that person. The Life Maiden, however, helps with fertility and helps people overcome illnesses, and unfortunately she has been missing. They don't know where the Life Maiden is. I really liked this world building and this kind of story. We're following the Death Maiden. She's actually the daughter of the king, so we have kind of this weird dynamic that normally does not happen with the Death Maiden, and she makes a mistake, and then in order to try to smooth over this mistake between the kingdoms, they decide that she is going to be married off. Unfortunately, she accidentally marries the wrong person, and things kind of spiral out from there. I don't really know what else to tell you without spoiling the story. I really liked their banter. I thought that that was so fun, done so well. There just wasn't enough of it. This is definitely a plot forward story, but the plot feels a little bit all over the place. There's a burlesque show. There's too many big bad evils. We've got Death. We've got the guy that heads up the burlesque, and I just felt like it needed to be honed in a little bit and decide a little bit more of what it wanted to do. This book is a standalone that is a series of companion novels. I don't know if they'll all follow the same plot thread or not, but this was the only book with these two characters as the lead, and while there are so many things about this book that I enjoyed, I thought that the world building was unique. I just wanted more of it. I thought the plot was fun. I liked the burlesque side of things. I just, again, wish that it had been honed in a little bit more. I liked Death. I liked their banter, but everything felt like it was too much too fast, a little too rushed, and then other parts of the pacing felt extremely slow. So I ended up giving this one a 3-star, which was sad because it had so much promise, but it just needed a lot better editing, I think, to make it great. I will try more from this author in the future. I might continue on in the series when the next book comes out, because I'm very curious about the character and kind of how all of that works at the ending of Till Death. And then I read Immortal Dark by by Tigist Kerma. Am I saying that right? This is fall. This is October. This book, the more I think about it, the more I like it. I gave it a 4-star when I read it, and since then I have just been thinking about this book. It definitely has that gloomy gothic vibe. Combine that with a little bit of bully romance and vampires and you have yourself a winner. This has also got a school setting, all these buzzwords for me. The beginning was a little bit slower for me. It took me a while to get on the same page with our main character because I felt like she was a little one note in the beginning, but as we continued on into the story, we started to develop more relationships between other side characters and between her and the vampire, learned more about the world. I was sold. It kind of got secret society vibes too, which I adored. I do think that the world building this is so cool. Basically, the vampires were ruthless thousands of years ago, and then they had basically a cap put on them where they can essentially only drink from one family, and there are like 5 different families with the 5 like heads of the vampires, and she and her sister are one of the last of the line of her family. Her aunt whisks them away because she doesn't want that life for them, and then her sister goes missing, and Keaton is pretty sure that she knows who did it. So she decides to infiltrate the school to try to find out what happens to her sister. World building, like I said, great. The atmosphere, great. The bully romance vibes, also really good when they were there. And I'm excited to read the sequel of this book. I think this is one that everyone's going to be talking about this season. This is going to be the new like One Dark Window gothic vibes that everyone recommends because it's just so vibes. And last but not least, I will mention the 3 books that I also read in the month of September, but they're going to be in vlogs for October, so I'm not going to give you any thoughts on them because I mean like that. You'll just have to wait and watch the vlogs, and then I'll wrap them up again in October. First was The Hollow Dead by Darcy Coates. This is the 4th book in the Twisted Dead series. I think it's the Twisted Dead series. Oh, in the Gravekeeper series, actually. This is following Kira, who has no memory, but she knows that she can see ghosts. She ends up in this small town. She gets refuge because someone is after her, and while she's there, she decides that she will help keep the graves grounds and help other ghosts find their way to the afterlife. This series is a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it. It's like complete cozy fall vibe, and I would recommend the audiobook. Also read Clown in a Cornfield 3. This is a young adult slasher series that is a lot of fun, following Friendo, who is a clown that is after the teenagers in this small town called Kettle Springs. This series is action-packed. It has gore galore, and it is just something that I think is a perfect fall vibe. And then last but not least, I read the ever-hyped We Used to Live Here. This book is one that people have been screaming about. I hear 1 stars, I hear 5 stars. Everyone seems to love it or hate it, but they feel one of the two, and I had to know what the hype was all about. This is about a woman and her girlfriend that have decided they're going to flip this remote mansion. When they're living there trying to get everything cleaned up, and the family that used to live there shows up on their doorstep and just asks to come in for 15 minutes to show the family around. That doesn't go well. Okay guys, so there you have it. These are the books that I read in September, plus Clown in a Cornfield and Worthy of Fate. I feel like it was a good reading month. I feel like I had a lot of wins, even though I didn't read as many pages. That's okay. Quality over quantity is the way we want to go around here. I'm so looking forward to October and spooky season. I have a ginormous list of books that I want to get read, so keep your eyes peeled for that. As always, I really want to know what your favorite book in the month of September was. Please let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see other wrap-ups, I will leave the playlist here for you guys. And if you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a castle emoji for Immortal Dark. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!